There's something that they don't often tell you about starting the carnivore diet, and that is that the majority of people who start this diet quit. We don't often hear their stories because we are bombarded with all the success stories all over YouTube every day. And it's good to listen to those stories, but the sad reality is that most people quit. And in this video today, I want to unpack some of the reasons that people quit. And these are some topics here I think that are not often talked about and we need to talk about. Because when we look at the reasons why people quit, it is never or seldom because they think the diet doesn't work. It's always for other reasons. So what are the reasons that people quit? Well, they're many and varied, but I want to break it down into a number of areas. But before we get into the reasons why people quit, let's talk about the reason why people start. They start this diet because they're intrigued. They've heard stories. They want to lose some weight. They want to get into this. It sounds a bit unusual, but they'll give it a go and they jump in. And there is that honeymoon stage where, you immediately start losing weight and things are looking good and things are going well. But it's then that the reality sets in and some of these hidden reasons that drag people down emerge. I want to break the reasons why people quit into a number of headings. First of all, I want to talk about some psychological hurdles, and these usually come about in social situations. This is a topic that often comes up with carnivores, and we often give almost pat answers to it, but the reality is that this is an ongoing issue for many people. You're invited out for lunch with friends, and that becomes a stressful situation. You go to a restaurant with a group of people and you're staring at the menu and you're wondering, how am I going to just stay carnivore with this menu? Or maybe it's a family gathering and you're sick of it trying to explain one more time to your family why you're eating this way and deal with their looks and maybe their unspoken judgments. And that, you're okay for a while, but it gradually wears you down. Also, under this psychological heading would be that you can just get diet fatigue. You've been doing this for so long and you're just kind of over it. You're over just eating meat and being the odd one out and trying to find meat all the time and, all the inner turmoil that comes with that. It just can wear you down. So there's psychological reasons. Then secondly, I'd talk about some physiological, that's a big word, isn't it? Physiological reasons. Reasons that come about because of changes in your physical body. Often it's digestive issues. People when they start carnivore particularly often either have diarrhea or constipation. I remember when I started, it was constipation and it was pretty bad and pretty unsettling. And people get concerned about that. And although it tends to go away after the first couple of weeks, there can be periods where it comes back and it's just irritating and it's unpleasant and uncomfortable. And it's a nagging thought, maybe there's something wrong here. Maybe I'm not doing this right because I'm having some ongoing problems in this area. I know other people deal with things like waking up in the middle of the night with cramps. I've been there and had that happen on and off at times. And those cramps can be quite painful and quite unsettling, particularly if you think you never had these cramps before you started carnivore. And you begin to wonder, maybe this is not the right diet for me. If it's not cramps, it might be headaches or it might be just tiredness sometimes. I mean, a lot of people speak about more energy on carnivore, but you might be thinking, well, I hear all those stories, but how come I'm tired all the time? And there could be reasons for that. But that's another physiological reason, if you like, why people might be tempted to quit the carnivore diet. And then on top of that, you constantly have people telling you that you're not getting vitamin C or you're not getting enough fiber or you're not getting this or you're not getting that. And those things, you can resist them for a while, but they after a while, they will get to you. And you'll start to wonder, particularly if you're having some physical problems that I've just mentioned, you'll start to wonder, is that right? Am I missing out on deficiencies? But even if you're not missing out on deficiencies, you can start to worry that you are and start to be thrown off course and start to ponder, gee, am I really doing the right thing? Or is this just, is this just wrong for me? Is this just, shouldn't I be doing this? And you have all these questions flood into your mind. A third area of concern might be just the practical and lifestyle challenges on the carnivore diet. The financial cost of carnivore is a big one for many people, and it's a topic that keeps coming up over and over again. And again, carnivores, myself included, have often given pat answers. I did a whole video on how to do carnivore economically on a budget or on a pension, as I am doing it. And I believe it can be done, but there's a cost factor, and maybe you haven't got time to go around all the different butchers and look for specials and that. And maybe there's just constraints on you in other ways, and you begin to feel, I just can't afford to do this, and that can weigh you down. Another problem that emerges in this practical area is when you're traveling. I know earlier this year I did a 7-week trip to the UK, and I had good intentions, I had plans, and yet I found it was just so difficult many times when I'm traveling and I'm visiting friends and family, and I'm in a great many different situations trying to stay carnivore. And that can be challenging and can almost think, oh, it's just too hard. Or you can be, you stop at a roadside cafe, or you stop at a shopping centre and you go into a food court and there is just nothing you can eat. And this happens not once, but it happens over and over and over again. And that can eventually wear you down as well. So these are just a few of the reasons why people are tempted to quit, or they do quit and they turn away. I think that's a tragic thing, because if you notice with all of these reasons, none of them are saying I'm quitting because carnivore doesn't work. They're saying I've got problems in other areas. And I want to tell you today that whatever problem you've got, don't be discouraged. What you are experiencing is exactly the same as hundreds of other carnivores have also experienced and maybe are experiencing in an ongoing way. This diet does work. It will transform your life. I believe it's got almost miraculous power to really transform your life, body, soul, and spirit. But there are challenges, and we need to overcome them. So look, do some reading, do some research. There's plenty of information out there. Whatever it is that's tripping you up, whatever it is that's getting you down, get an answer. Talk to somebody. Talk to me if you like, or any of the great carnivores out there. The carnivore doctors too are all out there. But, the carnivore community is the greatest in the world. And look, if you haven't already done so, I'd invite you to join our Facebook group, the Carnivore Pensioner, and also consider becoming a member of this channel, because members get perks that other people don't get. They get all my videos a day early. They get members only videos that others just never get to see. And on top of that, they get all the resources on my website absolutely free when other people pay for them. So there's a few reasons there to consider membership. But anyway, I'd love you to share in the comments today about where you've struggled with carnivore. What do you find to be the biggest challenge? Have you quit, or have you been tempted to quit? How did you overcome that? I'd love to hear your story. So leave your story in the comments below and share them with us so that we can be encouraged by your story. And you never know, because your story might be exactly the story that somebody else needs to hear to keep them going, to keep them staying the course, and to change their life on this diet. So look, thanks for watching today. I'll leave that video on the cost of carnivore up above here, and you can check that out later if you haven't seen that already. It just helps you to find ways to do carnivore more cheaply. And I will see you on the next video. And until then, don't quit, but keep telling your story. And I will see you on the next video. So bye for now.